What if Palpatine refused to let Anakin leave his office? Before we begin, don't forget to check out the voice actors, Nick Cortez and the Shapeshifter. Their links will be in the description. Let's start this story after Palpatine revealed to Anakin his true identity as a Sith Lord. Skywalker was conflicted, but admitted to Palpatine.
I'm sorry, but I must turn you over to the Jedi Council.
He turns to leave, but as he does this, he feels a flicker of energy through the Force. A flicker he knows all too well from fighting the likes of Dooku and Ventress, the dark side. Anakin stops in place and arcs his head back towards Palpatine, keeping an eye on him and waiting for his next move. Palpatine folds his sleeves and tells Anakin,
I can't let you go, Anakin. You need to make a choice right now. Join me to save Padme, or return to the weak Jedi and watch her suffer.
Anakin's mind races, but in this moment, his thoughts were clouded with Padme. Would she want him to join Palpatine and the Sith? Definitely not. So it's not something he can do before learning more about Palpatine's proposition. Anakin turns to Palpatine.
I must discuss with the Jedi, and only then can I give you my final answer.
But Palpatine turns.
If you tell the Jedi about me, they will hunt me down and kill me. And then I won't be able to save your wife.
But Anakin thinks on this. If he joins the Jedi when they confront Palpatine, he can ensure the Chancellor is arrested instead of killed, and then can use his power to save Padme. Palpatine and Anakin lock eyes, both sensing the determination in each other.
What will happen if I refuse to join you now?
I think you know the answer, my son.
A fight to the death, but with this, Anakin's resolve hardened. If Palpatine was willing to kill him for not joining him here, then he really doesn't care about him. Maybe he never has. Maybe Palpatine is attempting to use Anakin for his power, like everyone else in his life. And Anakin was sick of it.
I'm leaving. Don't try to stop me.
He starts walking to the door as a snap hiss behind him causes him to turn back. Anakin brings his sapphire blade to life at the last second to block Palpatine's initial strike and ducks under his left and rolls to his side. Palpatine needs to kill Anakin here because if he doesn't join him, the Chosen One will be too great of an obstacle in his plans. The two rush for each other. They clash blades back and forth, and Anakin couldn't believe how fast Palpatine was for a man of his age. He moved with a fluidity that resembled his mastery of all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. He came for Anakin's neck, chest, and abdomen, and the Chosen One was initially put on the defensive, not a position he was used to. But he stepped back on his right foot and pressed forward, slashing at Palpatine, attempting to render him unable to fight, rather than kill him. He went to disarm, to dismember, but he wasn't having any success. He saw an opportunity to go for Palpatine's leg. However, at the last second, Palpatine with his spare hand cast a flurry of Sith lightning at Anakin, who was forced to pull his saber back and block. The force of the lightning sent him flying across the room. Anakin stood, the smell of the lightning filling his nostrils. He looks at Palpatine, a master of the dark side, a weapon, and knew he couldn't win in a battle of lightsaber combat or force domination. He would have to use his one advantage, his youth. They engage again, swinging their blades with immense force as Anakin makes his adjustment. With his spare hand, he grabs Palpatine's wrist and shoves his knee directly into his abdomen. Palpatine gasps with pain as the air is forced out of him. He pulls his hand free, but Anakin was already on him and cracks him across the jaw, causing him to stumble back dazed. As he regained his focus, using the dark side to minimize the effects of the blow, Anakin's foot was aimed directly at his face, which sent him flying back to the floor with speed and a broken nose. Palpatine pushed Anakin back with the Force as he tried to recuperate his injuries. He was winded, his nose broken, and a high chance his jaw was dislocated. But he smiled, enjoying the pain, and would use it to fuel him. But Anakin's resolve was stronger than ever. He could feel Palpatine's body weakening, and he would continue his onslaught. Palpatine sent lightning at Anakin, who ducked to his side and rushed forward. Palpatine disengaged and got his lightsaber ready to swing at Anakin, who sidestepped the strike and caught Palpatine's wrist again and headbutted him with all of his might. He then threw Palpatine over his shoulder, bringing him crashing into the ground, and pushed him against the back wall with the Force. Palpatine was slipping in and out of consciousness as Anakin landed each strike. For a split second, his consciousness returned, but what he saw was Anakin on top of him, unleashing punch after punch on his head until Palpatine's vision went black and Anakin had knocked him out. Anakin takes his lightsaber and knows he must bring Palpatine to the Jedi Council. He calls R2-D2 in to hack Palpatine's computer and download the recording of their fight, and he goes to the Jedi Council chambers to reveal the truth of Palpatine. He enters and brings Palpatine with him, bloodied and unconscious, as the Jedi ask what the meaning of this is, but Anakin plays them the footage, showing Palpatine admitting he's a Sith Lord and attacking Anakin with his red blade. With this, the Jedi congratulate Anakin for his victory and send Palpatine to the Jedi's prison, and with this, the Clone War is essentially over. It took some time to convince the Senate of the Jedi's actions, but after proof was brought forward from Palpatine's office, statements made from the Separatist Council, all willing to leak as much as possible to reduce their sentence, it was proven that Palpatine had worked alongside Dooku to orchestrate the Clone War. He was sentenced to life in prison, and the Jedi had won. Anakin wanted to meet with Palpatine, however the Jedi refused to allow him this, asking what he would gain by speaking to Palpatine. Anakin's nightmares of Padme dying in childbirth still scared him, and he wanted to ask Palpatine about the power to save her, but the Council denied him this. He doesn't have any options left, and now has to rely on his last resort. He stands in front of the Masters.
Masters, I have something to admit. I am married to Senator Amidala, but I need your help. I'm having nightmares of her dying in childbirth.
The Council was shocked as Windu stood.
Anakin, you have blatantly broken the Jedi Code. I hereby call for his expulsion from the Jedi Order. I knew I couldn't trust you.
Master Windu, have a seat, please. Deal with Skywalker breaking the Jedi Code. Later we will. At present, address his nightmares we must.
Yoda tells Anakin to come sit in the center of the chamber, and commands the rest of the Council to reach into Anakin with the Force. They can all feel the currents of the Force flowing through him.
Feel the Force flow through you. We do, Skywalker. Searching for the truth of the future, we are.
They see several paths of the future, and the one in which his nightmares come true is now less likely due to Palpatine's capture. They conclude and deduce the truth.
Anakin, the Force has shown us the truth. Join Palpatine. Your nightmares, true they will become.
However, now that you resisted the dark side, Senator Amidala is not in danger. She will be just fine.
Anakin was ecstatic with this, and he thanked the Masters. He returned to Padme with a strong resolve, as the next day, Obi-Wan, Plo Koon, Yoda and Ahsoka stood by his side as Padme entered labor. Anakin's fear had gone. The Council had reassured him that Padme would not die. She gave birth to Luke and Leia, and the Skywalker family had begun. He spends the next few days with Padme and the twins, living the life they always dreamed of. He didn't know there was this much joy in the universe, and was extremely happy he rejected Palpatine's advancements. After these few days, Anakin is summoned back to the Jedi Council chambers to receive his fate, but before they say anything, Anakin goes first.
Masters, thank you for your help with Padme. Our twins were born, and we're both extremely happy. With this, we have decided my role as a Jedi is over. I have defeated the Sith, and now, I must walk a different path. One outside the Jedi Order.
Anakin bows as he turns to leave and doesn't look back. The Council was willing to let Anakin stay a Jedi, but he had made up his own mind. With this, Padme decided to lead the Senate, as she and Anakin moved to Naboo, to the lake house with their twins. Over the next couple of years, they had 2 more children. The first a boy Qui-Gon, and their youngest a girl Shmi Skywalker, and their family was complete. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan would come to visit often. Obi-Wan a sort of uncle to the kids, and Ahsoka an older sister. All of the children were Force sensitive, and Anakin and Padme decided they must be trained in the Force, both to harness their power, so that one day they could serve the galaxy, but also to resist the temptation of the dark side. Anakin trained them one by one, teaching them the subtleties of the Force, learning to harness and control it by letting it flow through them. He tailors to each of their strength, Luke favoring lightsaber combat, Leia the subtleties of the Force, Qui-Gon the intricacies of Force manipulation, and Shmi the living Force. All children were unique in their own ways, which Anakin and Padme enjoyed. They loved their time raising their kids on Naboo, and really did live out their dream life, as their love for each other only grew during this time. Meanwhile, 20 years later, Anakin's youngest daughter was 18, and all of his children were full-grown adults. For these 20 years, the Republic had prospered. With the Sith gone, there was no corruption in the Senate under proper leadership, assisted by the Jedi Order, who can now become the true guardians of peace in the galaxy. However, little did the Jedi know, something dangerous was brewing in the Outer Rim. From planets not in the Republic, rumors started to pour in about a new sect of warriors, attacking distant worlds and conducting raids to steal rare resources and equipment. Usually rumors like this wouldn't garner any attention. However, the rumor had it that these warriors wielded the red blades of the Sith. At the beginning, the Jedi and Senate disregarded these rumors and believed they were fear-mongering by the planets in the Outer Rim, trying to dissuade the Republic and Jedi from expanding. However, the rumors kept coming in, to the point where the Jedi could no longer ignore them. They sent a task force of 7 Jedi, led by Council member Shaak Ti, to go investigate. They spend weeks in the Outer Rim, reporting back to Coruscant every day, as they tracked this mysterious sect of warriors, until one day, they went silent, never to be heard from again. This worried the Council. There were only a few things in the galaxy that could take out a squad of Jedi. 2 more squads were sent over the following month, led by Master Luminara Unduli and Stas Ali. Master Unduli's squad faced the same fate as Shaak Ti, but Stas Ali was able to report back to the Jedi before their defeat. She sent through a distressing video, taken in the last moments of her life. The video showed her beaten and bruised, as she proclaimed, the Sith had returned. Hundreds, no maybe thousands of them, as the recording went red, undoubtedly destroyed by a lightsaber. The Council sat in silence at this in utter shock. How could the Sith have returned in full force so fast? Darth Sidious must have only been the beginning, and the true Sith had been building up their forces the entire time. The next day, reports start coming in from the Outer Rim that it's been taken over by utter chaos. Hundreds of ships have come out of hyperspace and started attacking. The crime syndicates, in control of the region, the Hutt Cartel, Black Sun and more, were forced to fight against the invaders, but they didn't have the strength capable of this. Their ships were completely wiped out as the invaders took over control of their planets to maintain a base of operation. Following this, a recording was sent through to the Republic Senate. The recording showed 3 people, an alien in the Senate, a Mun, with a hood over his head, and a man and a woman either side of him. But these weren't normal humans, they were the ancient Sith species, thought to be lost to history, and the person in the center spoke.
Greetings, pitiful Republic. I am Darth Plagueis, leader of the lost tribe of the Sith, and after many years of hiding and building up our forces, the time has come to return to our rightful place as the rulers of the galaxy.
Shock and murmurs take over the Senate as Chancellor Bail Organa calls for silence. He proclaims to the Senate and galaxy, through the HoloNet, that the Republic will not surrender to these invaders, that they have the remnant of the clone army, and have maintained their military might following the war, and have the Jedi ready to lead them to victory. The war begins as the lost tribe of the Sith's forces press forward towards the core worlds, as the Republic send their military, led by the Jedi, to meet them in space. Battles occur across the entire galaxy, as Jedi engage Sith. Imperial dreadnoughts face Republic Star Destroyers. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan contacted Anakin and his family on Naboo.
Anakin, it's good to see you, but I wish it could be under better terms. We have a problem. Have you sensed it? The dark side is rising, Obi-Wan. Could it be what I think it is? Yes, the lost tribe of the Sith have returned, led by a Darth Plagueis, but the name doesn't seem to be in any of our records.
Anakin's eyes went wide. Darth Plagueis, the Sith Lord Palpatine told him about, the one who could cheat death. Palpatine told him he had died, killed in his sleep, but maybe he really had mastered immortality. But that would make him unbeatable. He tells Obi-Wan all of this, who stands tall deep in thought, with his hand on his chin.
I'll report this to the Jedi Council, Anakin. However, I was asked to contact you because the Republic and the Jedi require the help of you and your family in this fight. Will you assist us? Of course, Obi-Wan. We will see you soon.
Anakin turns, his children standing behind him. Anakin ends the connection and tells his children their true test in the Force will begin. Together they must defeat the lost tribe of the Sith and restore peace to the galaxy. War rages around the galaxy, the lost tribe of the Sith versus the Jedi Order. Anakin fights many battles with his children. His power had grown significantly in the last 20 years, and no doubt, he was the strongest light side user in the galaxy. His children were masters of the Force, not at his level yet, but they were all forces to be reckoned with. They led their own squadron of Republic military, with 15 Jedi under their command, attempting to push their way to the heart of the lost tribe of the Sith to find their leader. Darth Plagueis knew he would have to face Anakin, the Chosen One, whom he witnessed hours before his supposed death at the hands of Darth Sidious. He knew he would be powerful, but Plagueis had also been increasing his power over the last 30 years. After he was betrayed by his apprentice and fled to the unknown regions, he trained relentlessly in his control over the midichlorians to cheat death, and after many years, he mastered the control over his own midichlorians to artificially increase his own midichlorian count to over 20,000, and thus became the strongest darkside user in the galaxy. However, the ritual in which he did this almost killed him, and it wasn't something he could repeat again. But Plagueis won't only attack Anakin directly, but reaches across the galaxy to attack those dear to him. Plagueis decides to latch onto Anakin's youngest son, Qui-Gon. He can sense the boy has yearned to see war his entire life, and Plagueis begins to subtly plant the seeds of desires inside of him. One day after Qui-Gon entered the war, he was visited by a mysterious being in his dreams, promising Qui-Gon the power to exceed his father, to become the most powerful Force user in the galaxy. Qui-Gon enjoyed these dreams, as Plagueis could tell they were having their desired effect. Slowly he attempted to corrupt his mind, teaching Anakin about the power of his anger and hatred, how it can be an ally to his power, and he can teach him to embrace it. Qui-Gon starts seeing a hooded man in his dreams, the one who promises to teach him this power. Qui-Gon asks him what he needs to do, and the man tells him to come to the planet Kesh, that only then can he learn the power to surpass his father. Qui-Gon does this, following the coordinates provided. As he lands on Kesh, he exits the ship, feeling the Force is strong here, but not the normal light side that he's used to. The voice calls out to him, and Qui-Gon follows towards a stone temple. He walks inside to see the man in his dreams at the end, who takes his hood off, revealing Darth Plagueis.
It seems your dreams have lied to you, boy.
Qui-Gon realizes he's been tricked, but behind him steps 3 High Lords of the Sith, and he looks back to see Plagueis, who reaches out with his hand and grabs onto Qui-Gon's mind with the dark side.
Stop! Let go of my mind, Sith scum!
He tried to resist, but Plagueis was simply too powerful. The 3 High Lords start chanting, as Plagueis dominates Qui-Gon's mind with Force domination, and brings the young Skywalker under his control. He has done it, and finally he has the means to eliminate Anakin. Qui-Gon's disappearance was reported to Anakin, who asked the other 3 of his children where he went, as an officer reported to him that he left during the middle of the night. Together they reached out with the Force to search for their son and brother, as the Force grants him glimpses of Qui-Gon next to Plagueis and the ritual that he had performed. They come out of their visions, tears running down Leia's face with anger brewing up inside of him.
So that's how it's going to be, Plagueis.
Anakin is now more determined than ever to defeat the Sith. Anakin and his family now fought harder than ever, their forces taking victory after victory over the lost tribe of the Sith, cutting down tens of their members. But this is what Plagueis wanted. He wants Anakin to fight harder, using his anger to drive him in battle and steer him off balance, and draw him closer to the site of their final confrontation. Plagueis had engineered the entire war effort and had planned Anakin's death for decades. Anakin's forces break through the blockade of Solist to the heart of the lost tribe of the Sith's forces. Their Star Destroyers engage the Sith Imperial Dreadnought, as Anakin can sense Plagueis and his son are below on the planet's surface. He takes himself, his 3 children, along with the 15 Jedi in their squadron, and go to the planet's surface. As they land, they fight off the initial wave of Sith warriors and gunmen to make their way to the heart of the city. Qui-Gon is so close. If Anakin can get to him, he knows he can save him. In the distance, Anakin can see 2 figures standing ominously, no doubt Plagueis and Qui-Gon. 40 Sith warriors emerge from behind Plagueis, including key members of the High Lords of the Lost Tribe. Anakin approaches with his team as Plagueis calls out to him.
So, you are the Chosen One, the great hope of the galaxy. I expected more.
And you're the Sith who thought he could cheat death. Seems we've both been disappointed.
Cheat death? No, boy.
I sought to master it. I wield it as one might wield the Force itself. Your power pales in comparison to what I have achieved.
You twisted the Force for your selfish desires, and now you twist the mind of my son. You're no master. You're a parasite, feeding on life to cling to power.
Power is the natural order of the galaxy, child. The strong dominate the weak. It is why you are here now, why the Force has chosen me to shape its destiny.
The Force didn't choose you. It's not something you can control, and I've seen where that path leads to ruin.
Ruin? No, that's what awaits you. You have raw strength, yes, but no discipline, no vision. That is why you will fail.
Your schemes end here, Plagueis. You've manipulated the galaxy enough.
You know nothing of the true Force's power. Let me show you what it means to shape destiny.
The fight begins as Plagueis and Anakin focus solely on each other, but instead of the battle becoming entirely physical, Plagueis uses the Force to drag Anakin's consciousness into an ethereal realm, a mental plane shaped by the thoughts, emotions, and fears of its participants. The transition is jarring. Anakin's surroundings dissolve into swirling shadows and flashes of light. He hears whispers, screams, and echoes of his past. They navigate the surreal landscape of memories, visions, and raw Force energy that they attempt to corrupt each other with. Plagueis transports Anakin to a massive chasm filled with the whispers of doubt and fear, the voice accusing him of being unworthy of his power, a failure to the Jedi and his family. Anakin stumbles, but finds strength in a vision of Padme, who reminds him of the hope and love that defines him. He breaks free from the mind control, and the battle becomes a clash of Force powers, with Plagueis unleashing torrents of Sith lightning and black tendrils, whilst Anakin counters this with bursts of light that shatter the dark side. Qui-Gon fights his younger sister Shmi, still under the control of Plagueis, and the youngest of the Skywalker children is determined to save her brother and attempts to connect through to his mind with the Force. Meanwhile, Leia finds one of the High Lords, Darth Talon, a native of the Sith species. Her striking red skin, adorned with Sith tattoos, marked her as a fearsome warrior, and no doubt a deadly opponent. Luke fought Ivar Walken, the lead duelist of the High Lords of the Sith, and the eldest son of Anakin Skywalker had no doubt met his match. Meanwhile, the fight between Anakin and Plagueis continued. Plagueis casts a Force bubble around them and starts taunting Anakin about his children, that they will fall to his power, but something to their left catches the attention of both of them. As Qui-Gon cuts Shmi's saber down and goes to finish her off, Anakin acted in a flash, reaching out with the Force and connects to the depths of Qui-Gon's mind. He looks for any influence of the dark side and casts it aside with his own light. He can feel Plagueis' control inside of him, and with a blast of Force energy, destroys Plagueis' connection to Qui-Gon as he's freed and falls to the floor unconscious. They turn to look at Ivar Walken and Luke fighting, as Anakin reaches out with the Force to hold the Sith High Lord in place, as Luke capitalizes, decapitating him as he turns again to see Leia knock Talon unconscious with a blast of Force light. Anakin turns to Plagueis.
It seems your plan is not going how you thought, my lord. You are defeated, and will face your darkest fear, that in your quest to immortality, you have been utterly left alone. However, I will free you.
You mistake solitude for weakness. It is my strength, and you will not free me. I will rise again as I always do.
Before Anakin can take another step, Plagueis connects to the midichlorians inside of him and starts turning them against Anakin. Anakin can feel his midichlorians scream out in pain as Plagueis corrupts them with the dark side, turning them against himself. Anakin can feel himself dying as he falls to one knee, his children attempting to break through the Force bubble, but to no success. Anakin tries to fight back against Plagueis, but his mastery of the midichlorians was too much, and Skywalker knows what he must do. He connects to every midichlorian inside of his body, and severs his connection to them. In an instant, he stopped feeling the midichlorians, and therefore lost his connection to the Force. Because Anakin is no longer connected to the midichlorians, Anakin is freed from Plagueis' control, who steps back in shock, unable to comprehend what Anakin had just done. Using his physical skills, Anakin ignites his lightsaber to push forward before Plagueis could react, and thrusts his lightsaber through the Sith Lord's chest. With this, Plagueis falls to his knees, and the bubble collapses, with his children rushing in. Plagueis attempts to connect to the midichlorians inside of him to repair the damage done by the lightsaber, but the wound had cut his lungs in half, and there was no healing that.
You are insignificant without the Force. You've traded power for emptiness. My fate is ultimately superior.
As Plagueis collapsed to the ground, dead, Anakin's children helped him to his feet. He looked at them and smiled, because he knew with this the war was won. They looked upon him, concerned with what he had done in order to defeat Plagueis.
Father, your connection to the Force.
Don't worry, son. Saving the galaxy was more important.
After the decisive battle of Solist, where the Skywalkers shattered the forces of Plagueis and the lost tribe of the Sith, the tide of the war shifted irreversibly in favor of the Republic. The Sith, once a menacing shadow over the galaxy, crumbled by the united might of the Jedi and the Republic. The Skywalkers, heroes of the galaxy, returned to Coruscant as legends, hailed for their bravery and resilience. The Republic celebrated their victory, and the Jedi Order, forever indebted to them, offered their deepest gratitude. Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, now faced a life unlike any he had known before. One without the Force. He had made the ultimate sacrifice, severing his connection to the living energy of the universe to save his family and ensure the galaxy's survival. The void inside of him was unbearable, but he embraced it, knowing that the greater good had been achieved. For the first time in his life, Anakin tasted what it meant to be a man, no longer a weapon, but a father, a husband, and a protector of peace. But fate had not yet finished with Anakin Skywalker. One morning, as the sun rose over Naboo, a strange feeling washed over him, an almost imperceivable flutter in the deepest part of his being. A single midichlorian, a spark of the Force, stirred to life within him. It was faint at first, a whisper in the back of his mind, but it grew stronger with each passing day. The Force, it seemed, had not yet abandoned him. As the months wore on, Anakin's bond with the Force strengthened, awakening the power he thought he had sacrificed forever. Anakin, now restored, was more powerful than ever, stood at the edge of the galaxy, staring into the unknown. With his children by his side, he knew that the Skywalker's journey was far from over. They had defeated the Sith once, but the future no doubt held greater challenges, dark forces, new enemies, and ancient power that would threaten the fragile peace they had fought so hard to secure. But they were ready. The Force had not only returned to Anakin, it had returned to the galaxy. And this time, the Skywalkers would fight with the might of their legacy behind them, ready to protect the galaxy from whatever new darkness sought to rise. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out What If Padme Was a Sith Lord, and What If Anakin Became the Emperor. Don't forget to check out Fantasy Sabers for the best NeoPixel sabers on the market, and may the Force be with you.